What's that sound? It's for amusement only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast.
Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. Well, it's been a couple of weeks, and I have been working like a madman on the mechanical backbox animations within the multi-bingo. They are all done, and they look spectacular. I am so excited to share these with you all, and that includes things like the magic screen movements, the magic squares, the roto, magic numbers, the oddball galaxy movement, looks kind of like a millipede crawling around in there, and the mystic lines. This also includes magic lines, both coil-driven and motorized, and I'm just really excited. It really brings these games to life to see that animation, rather than having the numbers jump into the next position as they were doing before. I had a playtesting party and had some friends over the other day, and I am pleased to report that after dozens of games, there was nary a bug to be found. Very exciting, and I think that makes it pretty close to show ready for the York show, which is October 12th and 13th, 2018. And aside from the multi-bingo, we are, of course, having the public unboxing of Dennis Stodel's 1962 Silver Sails. Dennis is going to unbox that beauty in public, and we're going to film it for posterity and hopefully have the game set up for free play shortly thereafter. We've been chatting about that and think it is probably doable, assuming that the game is actually in the box and complete and all that good stuff. But we'll see. Never know. So, talking about these animations, the magic screens were relatively easy in that they only move horizontally. So you only have to move on the x-axis. And when you move them, you basically take the number of pixels between position 1 and position 2, and you then have your number of frames in order to make the animation complete between position A and position B, or 1 and 2, right? The hard part is telling it, okay, this is your x coordinate to start, and these are the number of times that you need to redraw yourself. Okay, that part's easy. The hard part is figuring out the timing of when it needs to call the next frame, because that can either happen slowly or quickly or somewhere in between, and it needs to happen at a realistic time frame, similar to what the actual game is. So that took a lot of experimentation, a little bit of math to figure out, and my method is relatively simple. I have one method that handles screen movement, and in forward or backward it just changes the sign on the front of the number, be it negative or positive. So the magic screens were easy, so let's talk about some of the more difficult ones. And I've been asked by several people how exactly I managed to get the rotation working and things of that nature. So I apologize if this is a little dry here, but it is kind of interesting to think about since I don't have the actual mechanical units in there making the movements. For the magic squares, you have an arrangement typically of 4 numbers that physically are riveted to a circle, and as the circle rotates, these riveted numbers maintain their position, their readable position to the player as they move from position to position around in a circle. In order to emulate that, I took each number and, starting with the upper left, made it so that it pushed over to the upper right. The upper right pushes down to the lower right. The lower right pushes left to the bottom left. And then the bottom left pushes up to the upper left. And the cycle starts again. That sounds pretty simple when I say it like that, but it is more difficult than it seems because you have to tweak the movement direction by switching the polarity, basically, by switching the sign in the front of the number. So say you want to move up the screen, then you'd use a negative number, and down the screen you'd use a positive number. This requires you to think backwards a little bit, which can be a little tricky, but you get the hang of it eventually. At any rate, aside from that, there are also extra things that happen at the beginning of the animation. Each of my animations, so each of the positions that were rotating, would jump a little bit. They would move over to the left, to the right, or up or down, or wherever I didn't want them to go. Basically, they would jump. So I would have to go through and tweak the starting position by a few extra digits. Some of the other movements, a little simpler. The roto, a little more complicated. You have 8 different numbers that are moving around in sequence. And on Stardust, you have 16 numbers that are rotating. Things like the magic numbers, where they are chain driven, the movements are different still. So the way things work has to be tweaked per game, and it took quite a long time, a lot of work to get that done, but I think it really added that extra bit of life to the game. I'm really excited by the game now. Not that I wasn't before, but now I'm even more excited than I was. So the next thing that I've done is record audio from several different games, and I had a contributor record from one of their games, and I've got another video that I'm going to isolate some of the audio from another friend, so I should be in good shape to put the accurate audio in for each game before the York show. But time runs short, and the way that I need to do this is not something that can be done universally. It has to be done on a game-by-game basis, and I'm going to have to split out some of the generic audio cues that I've made previously. And it's not as simple as just replacing the sound files, because I need to ensure that the samples are played at specific intervals. So it's going to be tricky, but it should be doable. I'm looking forward to the challenge, and we'll see what I can get done before York. But all that said, I think the game is shaping up nicely, and I have a feeling that once the audio is in place, the games are going to feel extremely real to me. So, getting back to other things going on, I've done a few service calls around town again, very lightly dipping my toe back into that, because I've got a lot going on, and still have a lot going on. I have many exciting interviews in the pipeline, but I have not had a chance to conduct any of them, or even sit down and fully do my research for some of them. So I need to get back on that and really focus a bit before I can get those out into the world. And the other thing is I'm selling off some games. So at least 3 are going to be leaving here or have already left. Ticker Tape was sold to a local collector here. Nice guy. And it was his first bingo. I cut him a good deal, and he was excited to take it home. He said he had a friend over, and the friend got a 5 in a line on card number 6. One of his first times playing it, which is just unheard of. So another one that's sold is Gay Time. Gay Time is the perennial favorite at the York show. This year I'll be bringing United Caravan in its place, and Gay Time will be heading to its new home all the way across the country, actually. I'm doing a small repair on it, and then it's going to be packed up and shipped. This is the first game that I've shipped using a commercial freighting company, so hopefully that all goes very well. I expect it will, and we'll see what happens there. And then finally, the Chicago Coin Twinkie that I've had for a long time is probably leaving as well. So a couple of bingos are leaving, and a flipper game is leaving, and what I will get in return is space. Lovely space. I am in desperate need of space, and much more important for me to have space than it is to have games at the moment, especially, say, Ticker Tape and Caravan, Gay Time. The art packages are beautiful. The games themselves are awesome. However, I can play them in the multi, and it is a relatively accurate emulation of the portioning and so forth. So I don't feel terrible about letting those games go, especially to new collectors or to collectors that will definitely appreciate them. So that's those. And then Twinkie, I think it's just time for it to find a new home. That is my wife's favorite game, but even she agrees that I need the space pretty badly. So, what do I need the space for? And really, it's to build new games. I have plans to make a new multi. This is the Multi Races, multi one-ball horse race game, and I need a lot of space to be able to walk around that game, build it from scratch, all that kind of stuff that I did with the Multi Bingo. It's going to be quite a problem if I'm having to lift things up and shift them around and crawl under and back behind and etc. So this is going to be wonderful, not just for the multi-races, but also for Robo Frenzy. Robo Frenzy I've had to build basically in the middle of the game room, and not being able to walk all the way around the game makes it very challenging indeed to wire it up. So I'm looking forward to having the space to do that. And all these things are going to lead to even more things. I have another project that I've committed to that I'll announce at some point in the future, and I need space for that too. So I'm probably not done with selling off games. I've probably got more that need to be moved along, and at that point I'll be able to make some more cool new stuff. So come on out to the York Show, play the game, come say hello, and play all the other games at Bingo Row and watch the historic unboxing. And with that, let's talk about today's game. It's 1932's Fan-Tan, made by Northwest Coin Machine Company. Fan-Tan takes its name from a Chinese gambling game dating back at least 2,000 years, according to the IPDB, but the similarity ends there, it says. So this is a card-themed game where you are shooting 5 balls onto a roulette-style playfield. The balls will become trapped in one of the holes in the roulette wheel, and you are trying to put together the best hand that you can. We'll go over the scoring here towards the end, but the layout of the holes is such that at the top center you have a joker, and going to the right you have an ace, a king, a queen, a jack, a 10, and then it switches to another suit, and you have 10, jack, queen, king, ace, and then again ace, king, queen, jack, 10, and again 10, jack, queen, king, ace, back up to the joker. So all 4 suits are represented, and you can make a number of different combinations that can win. So if you get a flush, you get a 3,000 point score, A 4 of a kind gives you 2,100 points, and it's called excellent. A straight is 1,700 points, and that's marked good. 3 of a kind is 1,000 points, that's marked fair. And 600 points for just a single pair, and that's named poor. The scorecard also says lodged balls do not score, so apparently it's possible for balls not to settle in a particular hole. That would be kind of irritating if you're playing this and you don't get credit for one of the balls. The game's artwork is relatively detailed on the playfield. You have what are really nice images of the cards themselves, very detailed in a very small area. This is a very small game. It is only 20 inches long and only 11 3/4 inches wide and only 6.5 inches tall. It only weighs 18 pounds. There is no visible tilt mechanism, stool pigeon or otherwise, so it's kind of an honor system thing. Someone would have to be watching the people playing this, because of course there would be payouts based on the hands that you put together. One of the interesting notes on the flyer is that the card disc could be swapped out for one that just showed numbers, hiding some of its gambling nature, which I think is kind of a cool thing. The playfield itself is pot metal, cast metal, and it is very attractive with these raised areas which are green, and then the playfield itself is the silvery metal with the beautiful screened artwork of the playing cards. Very small, very detailed artwork. Very impressive. The sides of the cabinet, according to the flyer, have a small image of a fan centered on either side. However, the example that is shown on the IPDB has what appears to be a repainted cabinet with a little stencil that says Fantan on it. I believe this to be repainted because of the areas where you'd put your hands are black, as well as the areas in the back of the game. It looks like a stylistic choice rather than wear, but I don't know for sure. So this has one of the funky shooter rods, which functions as a combination shooter and loading mechanism, and the ball has to climb a very steep ascent in order to get up onto the playfield. This is a very cool game. It is not as refined as something like United's ABC, where you have a pop bumper in the center that'll prevent dead balls. The layout is also less steep, so the balls have more of an opportunity to just kind of come to a stop rather than settling into one of the scoring pockets. But I think this is a pretty neat game, and being so small, it's hard not to be a fan, especially when I'm talking about space all the time. But yeah, the game is a penny only. The denomination could not be changed, at least from the factory. You could retrofit a different coin slide if you wanted to. I just worked on a game that looks like it uses the exact same coin slide according to the flyer, and that had an interesting little slug rejection mechanism. There was actually a horseshoe magnet that was built into the coin slide itself, and it looks like the same piece of hardware, so that's pretty cool. I know I cracked a big smile when I came across that horseshoe magnet inside the game. I thought that was cool. But at any rate, that is 1932's Fantan. And that's all for tonight. Thank you very much for listening. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com, or you can call me on the Bingos line. That's 724-BINGOS1, 724-246-4671. You can listen to me on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts via RSS, on Facebook, on Google Play Music, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, also at Bingo Podcast, or you can listen to me on my website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.